How's it going, trainers? It's a new year and we've already got some brand new moves to analyze in Pokemon Go. Reshiram and Zekrom's two signature moves are here, so let's talk about how good each is. Welcome back, trainers, and Happy New Year! Right now, you can battle Reshiram in raids and get the exclusive move of Fusion Flare on it, and Fusion Bolt will be coming on Zekrom when it returns to raids on January 10th, which may be when you're watching this video, who knows? But let's start with Reshiram's fire signature move, Fusion Flare. Starting off with its raid stats, the move is a 1-bar move with 140 power and a pretty quick cooldown, following in the footsteps of many recent new moves. This move may have the same energy cost as Overheat and less power than it, but it's actually an upgrade over that move because of the shorter duration. It'll hit faster than Overheat, and there will be less scenarios when you use the move and faint before it hits the raid boss, something that's obviously frustrating. But just how much of an upgrade is it? It's about a 7% improvement, which is quite decent, jumping up over 1 damage per second as a fire attacker compared to Overheat. To compare it overall though, Reshiram becomes the best non-mega fire attacker with Fusion Flare, now beating all Shadow Fire types, which is quite significant. So yeah, if you're into raiding, this is a great move to have on Reshiram. But what about PvP? Well, this move has very good stats there as well, being 90 power for only 45 energy, equivalent to Avalanche and Psystrike. Though, will this make Reshiram any good in the Master League? That's a harder question to answer. While this is the new must-have move to have on Reshiram in the Master League, it's also not super impressive with said move. Don't get it twisted, it's still good, but there's a lot of dragons in the Master League who won't be too bothered by a strong fire move, and other Pokemon like Swampert and Hoa won't be fazed by it much either. Still, it's a powerful move that you'll want on Reshiram if you plan to use it in PvP. For a secondary charged move, I'd say it's somewhat of a toss-up between Stone Edge, Overheat, and Draco Meteor. Overheat is probably the best of the three, but you'll also sacrifice additional coverage for more fire damage, but it is very strong fire damage at that. Stone Edge gives you much better coverage, but it doesn't solve all of Reshiram's problems, and while Draco Meteor would provide the best coverage, I'd argue, it's pretty expensive and Reshiram doesn't really have the defensive typing of something like Dialga or Palkia to be able to reach Draco Meteor reliably. In short, Fusion Flare is a significant upgrade over its already good fire moveset for raids, and a good move for PvP, but Reshiram itself isn't really amazing in the Master League. Now let's talk about Zekrom's electric signature move, Fusion Bolt. Now for raids, while very similar to Fusion Flare, it is actually slightly better. Both have the same energy and power, but Fusion Bolt hits just a little faster, making it even better. Now I believe the reason for this was because Reshiram was already the top fire attacker that wasn't a Shadow or a Mega, whereas Zekrom has more Shadows to compete with, and also Xurkitree. Now with Fusion Bolt, Zekrom pulls ahead slightly, but not as much as Reshiram did. Instead, it's about a 2% increase, which is fine, but nothing fantastic. With Reshiram, it replaced its 1-bar move with an even better 1-bar move. But Zekrom already has the incredibly good Wild Charge, a 2-bar move, which is often the best for raids. While weaker than 1-bars usually, they provide a lot more flexibility, so even when you're about to faint, you can still sometimes fire one off because you only need 50 energy for it, whereas moves like Overheat need the full 100 energy. As such, I don't know how big of an improvement this move will be in practice. Yes, the numbers say it's an upgrade, but if you miss a Fusion Bolt before fainting when you could have thrown a Wild Charge, that hurts. And also, while it's still good, Fusion Bolt Zekrom still sits below the powerful Xurkitree as an electric attacker. Zekrom can still occasionally be better with more bulk in its dragon typing, but more often than not, Xurkitree is just better. So while an upgrade, Fusion Bolt Zekrom is only slightly better than Wild Charge. What about in PvP though? Well here, Fusion Bolt has the exact same stats as Fusion Flare, stat-wise, which is still good. Its PvP moveset consisted of Crunch and Wild Charge, with Wild Charge being 45 energy for 100 power, just with a 2-stage defense debuff. Essentially, you now have the choice of the slightly weaker Fusion Bolt, but now have no self-debuffs, or the stronger, self-debuffing Wild Charge. Obviously, Wild Charge is great to throw and then switch out, but I do think Fusion Bolt will benefit Zekrom when it's used as a closer, and you also won't be pressured into switching when it's not a closer, even if you're in a good matchup. So I wouldn't call it strictly better or worse, just different. Now Zekrom is better than Reshiram in PvP, but I also don't think it's the best out there. Both can be good with the right team, and Zekrom can have higher highs, but I think in terms of dragons, Dialga, Giratina, and the new Glaciate Kyurem are just better. Still, Electric provides a unique flavor that can be useful. To wrap things up, which do I think will be more worth rating or more worth the Elite TM? I'd definitely give it to Reshiram. Despite its signature move being slightly worse than Fusion Bolt in raids, Reshiram still sees a far more notable upgrade than Zekrom. And while I think Zekrom is better in PvP, I'd say Fusion Flare is far more necessary on Reshiram for PvP than Fusion Bolt on Zekrom, who can still be great with Wild Charge. But both are great legendaries still who are worth rating. I would say Reshiram is more worth the Elite TM though if you have a good one that you want to teach Fusion Flare. And that just about does it for this signature move analysis. But we're not done with Zekrom and Reshiram. For the past few months, we've been hard at work on a speculative analysis on these two signature moves. And while Niantic beat us to it with the two fusion moves, Zekrom and Reshiram do each have another signature move, Bolt Strike and Blue Flare respectively. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our speculative analysis on these two moves and how they could further enhance these legendaries. Until next time though, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.